So at first it comes down to needs and resources available, right? So there may be folks that just have a lot of money and aren't going to spend it all, and we're more talking about their risk tolerance and what they're looking and how much risk they're willing to accept. So that may be the driver is more how much risk can they handle when things hit the fan? Are they going to freak out if things do get volatile, which of course equity markets do? Um, and for the investor, that's a little more hands off and just says, hey, I'm going to ride this wave. Yeah, we could be on the higher end of the equity spectrum, 70, 80, 90, 100% equity if we need to be. But for most people, they don't want to ride the wave to every point of the S&P because when things do get bad, they get bad. And it's cause for heartburn. So that is part of it is just assessing risk. When are you going to need the money and how much are you going to need over time? So if you're a retirement minded investor and you're in retirement taking withdrawals from your portfolios, well, we got to figure out how much you need and where we're going to source that from. And then the other piece is your financial plan going to fail if we don't earn enough? Maybe you want to be conservative and but you need to earn more. You need to earn that 4 to 6% a year because you're going to run out of money at 78 if you only earn two. Well, that's going to force your hand to make a decision. Am I going to cut back on portfolio withdrawals? Am I going to change my lifestyle? How am I going to accommodate that and try to find a happy medium? Fortunately, there's not a lot of those conversations that we have to have, but that would be another determining factor. Most of the time, it comes down to time horizon, as we refer to it, meaning that how much you're going to need to access in a given period of time, and your feelings on risk. And we have some folks that just are willing to accept more risk because they're used to it, and that's fine. We could allocate to however we want.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, and building on Paul's great point, Steve. The other thing is too is that we look at the risk tolerance for the investor and allocate to bonds accordingly. There's a lot of investment strategies out there that just kind of say, okay, we're going to put a plain vanilla allocation to a broad bond market exposure, regardless of an investor's risk tolerance, and just boom, that's it. That's not the way that we see it in terms of the investment analysis that we do. In many respects, the bond market is just as interesting and diverse, if not more so than even the stock market. There's so many unique and differentiated investment opportunities that exist in the bond market. So, if it's a conservative investor, and let's just say they maybe have an equity weight of 40% or 60%, the bonds that will own, there'll be what's known as shorter duration, which means there's less price volatility and more of a focus on income generation. And, it'll be more of a conservative bond allocation to go along with a more conservative equity allocation. On the flip side, those investors that are more aggressive and maybe they have an 80% equity weighting or a 90% equity weighting, the types of bonds that we're owning are more aggressive bonds. They have that price volatility and that pop to them that can provide a meaningful return.